TONU or TONU. That means truck order not used. If you book a load and the driver gets to the pickup and then all of a sudden the load gets canceled for any reason, then you would ask the broker for TONU because you sent the truck over there, the truck arrived, and they were going to do the load as promised, but then the load was not there, so they came for nothing. So broker will usually compensate you just a little bit for that. So they don't compensate you near enough, like, because you have the fuel cost and the maintenance and the driver pay, and then maybe you lost a half a day. Who knows how long the driver has been driven. It can be 20 miles, it can be 150 miles to pick up that load, and then the broker will pay you like 150, maybe $250, but 150 is like a standard rate, and that's what they're going to pay you. And then that's the TONU, and then usually in most of the cases you will get paid. It's not like with detention. With detention, sometimes brokers or the customers will try to get out of it, look for a reason not to pay you detention, but with the truck order not used, you will usually get it most of the times. Detention and layover. Detention is when the truck has been at the pickup or at the delivery for a long time. Usually when you look at the rate confirmation, usually the standard practice is 3 hours of loading and unloading. So that means if the driver gets there at 10 o'clock and he gets loaded at 11, then no one will pay you this detention fee. Or if the driver gets loaded at noon, that's still 2 hours, you will not get paid. Only if it's past 2 hours, then you will get paid something, only a little bit, and you will only get paid for the time that starts after the detention starts. So if the detention starts at noon, because that's past 2 hours, the driver has been at the pickup for 2 hours, and it starts at noon, and the driver finishes at 1, you will only get 1 hour of detention because those two first hours are free. So sometimes you will notice that the brokers, depending on who the shipper is, and sometimes they have bad experience with them and they know that they take long time, or that's their policy that they're not going to pay that shipper or their customer after 3 hours. So sometimes when you look at the rate confirmation, you see first 3 hours or first 4 hours free. That means two things. Means that you're not probably gonna get detention because they say it's 4 hours free, and then it also means that the driver is gonna stay there for a long time because from their experience this shipper has always been loading for a long time, and it's up to you if you're gonna look for something else or if you're gonna stick with that load. So detention means that they're paying for the time the driver is sitting at the pickup or delivery, not driving, not making any money for himself, herself, or anyone else, or the company. Truck is maybe running, it might be cold outside or hot, and they need heat or AC. So the truck is running, it's using fuel, and when the truck is running, just like sitting there, it uses a lot of fuel too, and diesel is expensive, $2, $3, $4 per gallon, and if you're sitting there for a couple of hours, you're spending like $10, $15 just for the fuel for the truck running, and then you are not making money. Your clock, the driver's clock is ticking, it's running. Driver already started the clock. There are 11 hours of driving, 14 hours on duty. So the driver now is losing these 3 or 4 hours, and then that means that they cannot drive. They could have been driving those 2-3 hours instead of just sitting there. They could have made it to their delivery, closer to the delivery, and then maybe even in the morning they might be like next morning or in 2 days they might be late, because they sat over there for so long, and now they cannot use that time for driving. And usually detention gets paid, very, it's unfair pay, anywhere from like $20 to like $50 per hour. So if they pay you like $25, $35 on the average, that you still have to pay for fuel, for maintenance, depreciation, pay for the driver, lose money, and pay tax on that money. So you're not making anything. They think like like whoever came up with that 2-hour rule is just they're working. They're not working in trucking industry favor, because 2 hours to load, that's way too long. If they have to load by hand, that's different. But if they have pallets, like if they're loading like 24 pallets on that truck, it shouldn't take more than an hour, even less. If they have an experienced loader that they know what they're doing, it should not take more than 30 minutes. But let's just be generous and say 1 hour. 2 hours, what are you doing in those 2 hours? You're holding the driver at the dock. The driver might be nervous. The driver might be tired, hungry. They maybe want to go home. They want to drive, to be there on time. Maybe they have, there is bad weather coming. Maybe there's a rush hour coming up, and you're just like sitting there nonchalantly and just letting that driver sit there. Why are you doing that? If you're a loader, if you're a high-load driver, if you're in shipping office, any kind of management, my question to you, if you're watching, is what are you doing? Would you want to sit somewhere free for 2 hours while you could have been working, or someplace else, or your family? At the end of the day, you go back to your family. The driver does not. The driver still has to drive, sleep in the truck. At the truck stop, you go to your family. Just make it easy for that driver. Make it easy for them. Hurry up, do your job. If you don't like your job, then do something else. But if you're doing that job and you're getting paid, then you should do everything that they expect from you, and that's load that driver in timely manner, please. Layover. What's a layover? Layover is it could be connected to detention, because like if sometimes like driver is being loaded for a long time, and maybe the product is not ready yet, or they're closing up for the day, and the driver has to wait until the next day. Or maybe driver arrives and they say, hey, this load is not ready yet, we're gonna ship it tomorrow, and then broker will ask you, hey, can you wait, I'll give you a layover. And then that layover is usually not a lot of money too, maybe $150 to $250 for a day, and that's not enough. All those expenses that we were talking about before, they add up, and then maybe at the end you're making like $100 that day, where you could have been making way more than that, like $1,000 or maybe even more for that day. So that layover, that's what the layover is. It just pays you some money to wait for the load, usually until next day. That's what they usually do. That's it for now, and then we'll continue in next video, and then I'm gonna try to connect, because there was a suggestion for other things in one comment, but I skipped it. I want to connect it, like equipment, do equipment all together, and then load board abbreviations. I want to do that, put it like all in one video, and that's probably gonna be it's gonna take longer to do that. Thanks for watching, and come back for more. Subscribe to the channel, check out the description for different things that I have there, and come back soon. I'll see you around.